snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws caught. Foles, touchdown.
Here he goes. It's Hester. Inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown.
Fields stumbling, trying to cut it back. Justin Fields making magic happen. There goes Fields. Touchdown!
Hurts on first down, fires downfield. It's Deshaun Jackson back in the lineup. Missed the last 7 games, and he will take it 81 yards. A somersault into the end zone. His first touchdown of the season.
You're listening to the Pigskin Project, the world's #1 football podcast. Now, with more insights on all things football, here are your hosts, Ben Hansen and Ryan Matthews. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 78th episode of the Pigskin Project. I feel like I surprise myself every time we start up. We're still doing this. We've got a lot to talk about. I've got a lot of stuff. I didn't even tell you about this next thing. I don't even know if you've been paying attention or not on Twitter, but I've got a little bit of announcement regarding Overtime Sports Network and a recent collaboration as well. But before we get to that, Ben, how's your week going, man?
Dude, my week is going awesome. Mainly just because football's back. I guess technically it didn't fall under this week, but seeing DTR ball out the way DTR balled out on last Thursday was absolutely phenomenal. And by the way, episode 78, there have been some pretty nasty guys, in a good way, to wear 78 in the league. All right. 78 was Bruce Smith. That was also Anthony. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but the Bengals tackle. Really not going to try to pronounce the last name. It's really, really bad. But there have been some real good players. So I'm just saying, look into it.
Very good. Yeah. Awesome examples.
But Orlando Brown Jr. even wears number 78. But it's been a good week, man. I've been tired, like I've said the last few episodes. Just been working a lot. But more than anything, Eagles football is back this week. But you got to see Bears football, so I'm excited to talk about that.
I got to see a lot of stuff since the last episode.
Yeah.
So Thursday night, I believe, maybe it was Wednesday night. I don't know. Maybe it was right after the podcast, but my uncle and I were sitting there playing video games. We were playing this wrestling video game because we're huge wrestling fans.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get to as well, but he was like, what are you doing on Saturday? And I was like, I think I'm working, but why? What's up? And he was like, do you want to go to SummerSlam? He's like, we could go and do that. And he's like, let's figure it out. And I'm like, oh man, okay, let's get it organized with Caitlin and everything too, because I know she's gonna want to go. And so on Friday night, we bought the tickets and everything. And I knew that I had to work super early in the morning as well. So when we went to SummerSlam and, I had to drive to Detroit and then I had to drive back, which is a total of about 8 hours worth of driving. We did not get back until about 5:30 in the morning. And I was up for almost 24 hours straight. So I was very sleep deprived. However, right. I don't want to focus too much on that because, as everybody knows, we are a part of Overtime Sports Network. And so there's another podcast called the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast that I will also be on tomorrow. I have been invited on. I am very excited for the opportunity to be able to share my wrestling takes and be able to explain in depth, my experience of SummerSlam and everything. So if anybody's a wrestling fan out there, go ahead and tune in to that tomorrow night at, I believe that's at 7:00 tomorrow Central Time. Looking forward to that a lot. But yeah, I recovered briefly because I got to go back to, my parents' house to be able to watch my dogs and stuff like that. So it's been pretty nice. And, I kind of recovered sleep-wise that Sunday only for me to go to training camp today, which I was running off of about 2.5, 3 hours worth of sleep all day. You know, it was a little rough, I will say, especially just because like we couldn't really see all that well today. But so basically, let me get into this really quick. I want to airdrop. Yeah, my mom tuning in. Bears Camp, Gibson. Yes, I will get to that. So, I want to airdrop myself some photos really quick, just because I want everybody to kind of see what I saw. Let's see here. Awesome. Yeah, my mom over here supporting. Mom making herself known tonight. That's awesome.
We like to see.
Anyways, yes. So as this kind of loads in, I know it just kind of connected and everything. Or wait, we're getting there. There we go. Okay, so basically, it was on the opposite side of the field. So the way that Hallis Hall is, right, the way that it works, it looks like it's an L-shaped building from my vantage point. I'm about to share my screen so everybody can see exactly what I'm talking about. But basically, whole other set of fields, right? There's some to your left when you walk up to the Walter Payton Center, which is their indoor training facility. There's one to the left, and that's the one that we were on. Last year, we were on the one to the right. So this is what our view was. You just didn't see the billion people that tried to walk past us as well. So it kind of sucked. But anyways, you can see if we zoom in here, thank God for the iPhone 14. So, you know, you go in here, the linebackers and everything were kind of getting ready ahead of us. The defensive, oh, this is a better picture. Well, yeah. So defensive linemen were over here. Linebackers were over here. Corners and, you know, stuff like that over here. The quarterbacks actually started warming up over here too. So that was pretty cool to see as well. Then you had like special teams on the opposite side field, right? The thing that sucks the most is that when they did their team scrimmage and 7-on-7 and stuff like that, they were on the opposite side and they built a wall to where I couldn't see anything. So that's unfortunate. But you could see offense is stretching in this picture on that side of the field. If you guys can see that little cursor thing that I put on in the blue jerseys, and the white is all defense. Okay. Everybody knows who this guy is if you've listened to the podcast for a while. Our favorite Travis Gibson. Unfortunately, we're dealing with some depth chart issues, you know. And then I don't know if anybody remembers, but this man, Jack Sanborn, us and Coach Tyler also called the fact that he's a dog. So just wanted to point that out.
Yep.
But yeah, so ultimately the layout of that field is a lot less. It's a lot more closed off than the other field. And so as a result, we didn't really get to see the players all that much. The only player that we got to see is Darnell Mooney, which is awesome, except we didn't get to see him in person, like close to, you know, face to face, didn't get any pictures with him or anything, mainly because people started freaking out to the point to where the roped off section, they were starting to kind of move that rope just a little bit. And it was to the point to where I would feel overwhelmed if I was Darnell Mooney. So
Yeah.
I understand why he kind of backed off and just kind of left after spending about 15, 20 minutes signing some stuff. So he took his time and did his due diligence on, you know, everything, but it was really cool. You know, unfortunately we didn't get a lot of action. However, Ben, I'll see you in a week, buddy. We get another shot at this. You know, I'll be heading down to the Colts joint practice with Ben, and we'll meet up and be able to do that. Our buddy Greg Braggs was at training camp today, and we were going to get a picture, but unfortunately Greg had to leave a little bit quicker, and we just didn't make it happen. But Greg will be there on Wednesday, so hopefully we can get a picture and post it up on the, you know, on the Twitter and stuff. So stay tuned for that. Very excited. Greg's a great dude. So, you know, looking forward to, you know, just giving him a handshake and telling him thank you, honestly, because he's a great guy. But with that being said, I tried not to take too much time, but we do have a lot of stuff to talk about. And I kind of want to breeze through this because we've got a big episode today.
Cool.
Our layout tonight looks like weekly news. Ben's College Corner is making a brief return. Picks can pick 'em between the Bengals and Steelers. Three Bold Takes is also making a return. We're doing Weddle, and then to close us out, we're looking at any kind of preseason games this weekend that we're excited for personally. Something that stands out to us or anything like that. I'm not entirely sure how much reading you've done on anything like that, but I'm actually kind of looking forward to more football, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and get started.
Ryan and Ben bring you weekly news.
All right. So Yannick Ngakoue, and I've listened to several Bears podcasts to know that that's kind of how you pronounce it, has signed a 1-year deal worth $10.5 million with the Chicago Bears. Finally, we get our edge rusher that's going to be pretty decent. Even though it's a bridge guy, this almost just shouts at me, Bears are drafting an edge rusher next year. Next up, the Bears have swapped their primary and secondary logos. Okay, first off, let me just speak directly to our audience.
Dude. That's about time. Me and you have both been saying this, that this is something that need to have happened.
Yes, I have been I've been looking at this for a while now. So when we talk about this, and like I said, let's talk to the audience really quick. Mom, it's the Bear logo, it's not the C logo. Very excited about this. So basically, let me share my screen really quick. So instead of this being the primary logo, the stuff that you see on the scoreboards, potentially what I'm hoping for is this get changed. The 50-yard line, the thing that's on the side of the helmet, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
This is taking a back seat now. This is your Chicago Bear logo.
Yes.
As you can see on the top left of the website as well. The advertising for the Tennessee game this Saturday, the brand guidelines. I mean, it's all over, and it's the primary visual identifier of the Chicago Bears. Basically, this is what you're going to be seeing a lot more.
That's what we like to see.
And going forward as well, I know that we're looking at a new stadium and stuff like that, but if you want to be more intimidating, get rid of it. This looks so much cooler, so much more competitive, and it tops the G. Mom putting Bear down with a smiley face. Love it. Anyways, so next up, obviously I'm ecstatic about that, but we don't want to spend too much time on that. The Cardinals signed running back Marlon Mack, who just got hurt a couple days ago, or actually just within the last couple days. But he signed a few days ago too, and now he's out for the season with an Achilles injury, so that's unfortunate. Next up, for another running back, Saints running back Alvin Kamara has been suspended for 3 games. So honestly, I feel like that was a lot lighter than I was expecting, but for fantasy purposes, cool. Maybe, I don't know. And then let's see. Seahawks wide receiver Dwayne Eskridge has been suspended for the first 6 games of the season for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. Same with Chiefs' new linebacker Charles Omenihu. Gosh dang, I forgot to talk about something in our recap really quick. You can go ahead and explain this. I have some more exciting news really quick, but I'm not going to take very long.
No, both of these aren't like a huge deal. The D. Eskridge one is even less of a deal because he's going to be the 4th or 5th wide receiver now at this point. The Charles Omenihu one hurts a little bit, but they'll get by. It's fine for the both of them. I mean, it sucks to see it, but no team's hurting. It's not like Justin Fields is suspended for 6 games, or Jalen Hurts, or Jackson Smith-Njigba or something. It'll be fine. So
this one, I figured that this has probably made your week as far as good news. Eagles offensive lineman Josh Sills was found not guilty of his allegations. We're not going to say specifically allegations, but there were allegations and have been reinstated onto the Eagles active roster. First off, let me just say this without going too in depth of my personal opinion. If you accuse a rich, famous person of doing something and you cost them years of their career because of it, despite the fact that none of that actually happened and you're just trying to get a money grab, screw you, you're a scumbag. Anyways, continue. I'm sorry. So how do you feel about this? Josh Sills back on the
Josh Sills is like a backup piece. Like, he's going to be like the 9th offensive line to make the roster. Like, I don't even know if he'll make the roster this year. I'm going to be honest with you. He made the roster. I think he was probably like the 53rd guy on the roster last year before all of this happened. But good news for him. The other news actually had me a little bit more hype in terms of the Eagles. But
Eagles signed linebackers Zach Cunningham and Miles Jack to 1-year deals after losing TJ Edwards to, da Bears. By the way, saw him today. Really good guy. But anyways.
Yeah.
And I
that
also saw
one-
Tremaine Edmonds, but yeah, pretty cool.
That one had me a little bit more happy.
Miles Jack is a good beat or a good piece.
It was basically Nakobe Dean and no one else in the Eagles linebacking room. Like Nicholas Moreau was going to be like our other starting linebacker. So if that tells you anything, but it's funny because like Miles Jack has been someone that like both me and you have like talked about for like a very long time, like as a sneaky fun piece to like add as like a good like second or third linebacker. So it's about time. And he's been in the league for like 7 years and he's still only 27. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting. But he had like a decent year last year. He had like 61 tackles. It'll be fun. But yeah, just another depth signing.
Next up, Raiders wide receiver or former Raiders wide receiver probably. Henry Ruggs has been sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison after his car tragedy, I guess is the word we're going to use here. I think this is very low.
Light, it's a light sentence.
If I don't know, I'm not going to dive too deep into it. People are going to have their own opinions on it. I'm going to let you guys do your own research on that because it's very problematic in some senses. Cowboys and safety Malik Hooker have agreed on a 3-year, $24 million extension. Speaking of another extension, Bengals and linebacker Logan Wilson agreed on a 4-year extension worth $37.25 million. Panthers sign edge rusher Justin Houston to a 1-year deal. To any Panther fans listening out there, Justin Houston and Yannick Ngakoue are two very different edge rushers, and I don't want to hear anything else. Panthers fans have been ridiculous this offseason, dude. It's so stupid. Lions signed free agent quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. All right, now this one is a huge talking point. I'm very excited to talk to you about this. We're both turning 21 this year, so I'm looking forward to this.
This is going to
ESPN has come to an agreement with Penn Entertainment to launch ESPN Bet, their own branded sports book, which will be made available this fall. So you say that this is going to cause problems, Ben. What's your idea behind that?
I really think it's going to cause like a huge amount of issues.
Mom feels old. I know how to read that.
But I think it's going to cause issues. Like you already see guys like Woj, who works for ESPN and whatnot, like pretty much already at that point when it comes time for like let's say the NBA draft knows who's going to go first, second, third at that point before the draft even starts. So they're going to be able to create odds that like with insider information, and not that like Vegas doesn't already, but there's already the conversation people are having that like games are rigged because of like Vegas and whatnot. And then when you add on top of like the biggest sports media like company, maybe I'm going to say in the world. I mean, I could be incorrect, but like I'm safe to say, I think, to say they're the biggest sports media company in the world and to say, here, you go and create your own bet lines now when we know for a fact now that they have that inside information. I just feel like this is just going to cause even more issues, and the talk about the NFL being rigged and other sports being rigged is just going to start becoming more and more. And honestly, at this point, it might start becoming like a reality now. And I know there was that big thing. I think it was like Arian Foster or something last year who was like, we get the script. You remember that whole madness? And I found that to be fake, but like now I wouldn't be surprised if certain stuff starts swaying it. And obviously we're like a football podcast and that's what people come here to listen for. But I have friends down at my work who are 21 and they bet, and like they were they were livid because in the it was the Angels game, like through the 4.5 innings, Sheho had like a complete shutout game, and then he just got pulled out of nowhere. And the rumor for that was because like everyone took the over on his strikeouts, that Vegas was going to lose money if they kept him in the game. And obviously, I
at the end of the day,
that could be real, could not be, but it's going to be rough. I don't know.
The way that I look at it, the way that I look at it, for one, no matter what, if you're going to lose a bet, there's always going to be conspiracy as to why that didn't work out, right? Like, oh, I bet the over on Christian McCaffrey and, carries. Why isn't he getting more? Blah, blah. It's like, dude, it's week 2 of the preseason. Sit down. Like, like at the end of the day, some people, they're not making the best bets. But what I will say as well, it's interesting to read that a Disney-owned company is going to be going into the gambling business. So, you look at Disney and everything and what they stand for. It's more so like a family-based type of, company, in my opinion. You're looking at what they own in terms of, broadcasting and all that as well. But looking at ESPN, you're already seeing gambling stuff. It's just these odds brought to you by DraftKings or blah, blah, blah. So it's almost like, how much of a difference is this really going to make? Because they're already promoting gambling to begin with. So it's just like, if it's their own brand at this point, it's
I think there's a difference between. I think there's a difference, man, between promoting gambling and owning your own company, because there's like even when it comes back to like podcasting, for example, there were plenty of podcasts before we started ours that I was like, oh, go and listen to this podcast. But now that we have our own, there's just so much more that I don't know. I think there's so much more of a difference. And I get what you're saying, because I do think there's already outside of this kind of that behind the scene talk of stuff happening. I mean, again, we had this conversation last year. Yeah. But I just think it's going to be so much. I don't know how much of a difference it's going to actually play, but I think the media outlook of it and sports being rigged is going to be so much more talked about now, even outside of ESPN. It's just going to be, I don't like it.
It's
I don't like it. That's all I'll say.
But on the more fun side of things, our last topic in weekly news, EA Sports has confirmed that their college football franchise will come back next summer. We've been waiting on that. This should have been out by now, by the way. This should have been out this summer. Yeah, but beggars can't be choosers, You said next summer, and so I'm going to hold you to that. EA, I'm buying Madden soon, probably. Hopefully, maybe not. Hopefully, it's birthday. I don't know. It's just I'm so excited because, for one, as a kid, I never really got the opportunity to play the college football franchise, but I was watching. I did. So, I can't wait to get started. I can't. But anyways,
college news.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Pro football isn't the only game in town. Let's take a stroll to Ben's College Corner.
The return, Ben.
Yeah,
the floor is yours.
For like 1 week, and then we have like another month. I would say
3 weeks.
About a month. Yeah. 3 weeks to a month till this actually like makes its official return. But it's about time that we brought this back. For those who follow college sports, or for those who don't, this is a perfect time to talk about it. It's a big thing going on here. Pac-12 is like dying, which is ironic because I think when you combined like all like national titles for everything, I think the Pac-12 like smokes like everyone. It's like not even close. I'm talking about like all sports, like everything from like basketball to like rowing or whatnot.
Yeah.
So like through the Conference of Champions and everything. But for those who don't know what I'm referring to, UCLA and USC have already come to the Big Ten. That happened last year. But then I think it was Thursday or Friday of last week, the news broke that Washington and Oregon are both coming to the Big Ten, and then Arizona, ASU, and Utah are all going to the Big 12. And that's just piggybacking off of Oklahoma and Texas leaving the Big 12 for the SEC. So that makes sense. But now the issue that comes with it is that it only leaves 4 teams left in the Pac-12: Washington State, Stanford, the better OSU and Oregon State University, and Cal. So now the issue is, in the Big Ten or the Pac-12 commissioners come out and said that, like, we're going to do what's best. We're going to try to keep it together. But then I just think this is going to kick off something that's going to be really, really nasty. And I think it's just going to end up into two really big super conferences. And 10 years from now, I think it's going to be the Big Ten and the SEC. And that's what it's going to be. And then at that point, it gets really, really rough, because then what do you start doing with like the the smaller D1 schools, like your James Madison, your US, or your your UCF, your Cincy, your like North Dakota, your South Dakota, your Montanas. What do you start doing with those smaller schools now? Then do you can classify them as D1, or do you bring them down to D2? And I think it's just I think this is going to start off as a vicious cycle, and soon enough it's just going to be pretty much to the point where every team's just going to play everyone, and all the conferences are going to be dissolved. But then there's still just going to be a little lonely Notre Dame, still classified as independent.
Dude, I don't
those are
understand
like
that at all. I hate that.
Those are my favorite memes that have come out. Is like it was like there was like a meme that was like the big, it was like the big 128. And then independent Notre Dame. Notre Dame is always just going to stay independent. I just think it's a money thing. I just think they make more money not having to pay like a conference to be a part of. And also it's nicer for them, because then they can play whoever the heck they want, and they're not stuck like confined into one like conference. But then the other bigger issue inside of this whole Big Ten thing too, and outside of the Pac-12 and what you do with those 4 teams, the Pac-12 is now when it comes to scheduling, because now you have 4 teams out on the West Coast in Washington, USC, UCLA, and Oregon, and then everyone else is in the Midwest. I quote Midwest because the Midwest isn't actually in the middle of the United States. So then do you start seeing kind of like your NFL/MLB thing, where you just take a West Coast trip out there and you just play your UCLA, UCF, or USC, Oregon, and Washington all in one spurt, because that can't be good for student athletes flying 4 hours once every other week. It's going to create this whole big thing, and it'll be interesting to see how everything ends up shaking up. But now I think it's only a matter of time until the Pac-12 is kind of dead, unless they start adding. I would not be surprised if we see them make a push to add your Memphis, your San Diego State, your SMU, teams like that, maybe even Fresno State. But I really do think it's just a matter of time until the Pac-12 is just done. But then it's just really tough, because there's a whole lot that could go into it, and I could talk about it for hours. But that's basically all the information everyone needs to know in terms of that. There's 4 teams left, Pac-12. 5 teams left on Thursday, and then there's obviously other teams and UCLA and USC that left last year. So it'll just be interesting to see what the future of Pac-12 ends up being.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's dive into the Pigskin Pick'em. I mean, we're making pretty solid time here. Can't wait to talk about the rest here.
You think you know football? Well, prove it. This is Pigskin Pick'em.
So, as we talked about, we're on to our last set of divisions, the Northern divisions, my own personal favorite divisions. That's kind of why we scheduled it the way that it is. Anyways, I'm excited for this because I'll be honest with you. These 2 teams that we're doing today, the Bengals and the Steelers, they're pretty – I mean – I kind of had a rough time, man. I'll be honest with you. Like,
so did I. I did too. I struggled a little bit more with the Bengals than I thought I was going to. I mean, given I have the Bengals finishing with a really, really good record, anyways. But I struggled a little bit.
I think we're gonna have the first maybe 6 games the same is what I'm looking at. But after that, I think we might have some disagreements on the Bengals.
I'm interested to see if we have the first 6 games the same.
I have them starting off losing to the Browns.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, winning against the Browns. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Winning against the Browns, losing to the Ravens, winning against the Rams, winning against the Titans, winning against the Cardinals, and winning against the Seahawks.
Yeah, no, wow. We start off. This might be the first team where we I think our overall record is probably going to be within 1 or 2 games of each other, but I think our week to week is going to be much different. This is, if you guys have listened to the podcast, this does not come as a shock to you guys. I'm going to have them beating the Browns or losing to the Browns just because it's in division. They're playing away, all that mumbo jumbo. Like I always do, I have them splitting within the division games, home and away. So I do have them losing to the Browns. But then I have them winning the next 4 in the Ravens, Rams, Titans, and Cardinals. But then I do have them losing to the Seahawks. I guess I'm higher on the Seahawks than what the average person is this year. But I think it's going to be one of those really, really fun games. And honestly, it's probably going to be one of the most higher scoring games in the NFL come week 18. We'll probably look back on that. It'll probably be a top 5 scoring game, is my guess so far in week 6 against the Seahawks. So yeah, I have them actually starting off 4-2, which I think might be the same as you, but just different games.
I have them starting off 5-1. So
there you go.
And then I have them losing against the 49ers and then losing against the Bills. We the same there?
No, I have them losing against the Niners, but I have them beating the Bills. It'll be I'm really looking forward to this Bills game.
The game that should have happened.
Yes,
not like,
exactly. Exactly.
Obviously, if this didn't happen, it shouldn't have gone forward if Hamlin did what happened. But, yes.
For those who don't quite understand what he's referring to, this was the game, like New Year's, around New Year's, where the whole Damar Hamlin event happened. So that might be, maybe looking back on it, maybe I should probably change it because that might be something like the Bills are like, we're going to go and win this game. But no, I still have the Bengals winning, so I have them losing to the Niners, but beating the Bills.
I have them winning the next 3 against the Texans, Ravens, and Steelers, though.
I'm close to you. I have them winning the Texans, losing to the Ravens because the conference split, but then beating the Steelers.
Okay. I have them losing to the Jaguars, beating the Colts, beating the Vikings, and then losing out.
Oh, wow. No, yeah.
Against
we're different there. Yeah, we're different there. Actually, I have them winning out the last 6 games of the season here. It was really hard for me to have them not win against the Jags because, as you guys know at this point, we're an unofficial Jags stand here on this podcast, which is kind of funny. The Jags are like unofficial AFC team now at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have them winning out against the Jags, Colts, Vikings, Steelers, Chiefs, and Browns, putting me at an overall record of 13-5. 13-5 is really deceiving of a record, though, because this was a much, much harder for me to pick. And I could see them ranging anywhere from 14-3 to like 11-6. Like that's like they play some really, really tough games this season. But I do have them finishing 13-4. So what?
I have them at 10-7.
Wow. Yeah. See, this is the first kind of bigger split that I was saying might happen. Yeah. So 13-4 and 10-7.
Next up, we have the Steelers facing off at home against the 49ers. I have them
I'll
losing.
Be interested to see where you fall on the Steelers team.
Yeah, I have them losing against the 49ers. I have them losing against the Browns. I have them winning against Raiders, winning against the Texans to start 2-2.
I have them losing against the Niners, but then I have them winning the next 3. So I have them losing against the Niners and then winning Browns, Raiders, and Texans.
I have them losing to the Ravens, winning against the Rams, losing to the Jaguars, and then beating the Titans, Packers, and Browns.
Oh, wow. Okay. I have them winning against I have them losing against the Ravens, winning against the Rams, losing against the Jags, winning against the Titans. So I have them going 2-2 in that 4-game stretch. But then I actually have them losing the 3 straight against the Packers, Browns, and Bengals.
Okay. I have them, beating the Packers, beating the Browns, losing to the Bengals there. And then I also have them winning 3 straight against the Cardinals, Patriots, and Colts.
I have them winning,
losing out after that.
Yep. So I have them beating the Cardinals, beating the Patriots, but then losing out against the Colts, Bengals, and Seahawks, putting my overall season record for the Steelers at 7-10. This one was actually, I found the Steelers even much harder to pick for than the Bengals, just because they have such a wide range of how good they could be this season. Because if Pickett takes that next step, they could win. This is going to sound crazy, but I could see them winning 12 games if Pickett takes that next step. Najee Harris stays healthy, and that defense, T.J. Watt plays to the player we think T.J. Watt can be. Cam Hayward doesn't regress, so they have the potential to be really, really good. But if Kenny Pickett doesn't take that step and Najee Harris is hurt and George Pickens doesn't live up to the hype that he's been getting this offseason, I could see them winning 5 games. So
Joey Porter, by the way, have you seen that?
Yes.
It's been bad. Kyle Gagliardi tuning in with the cheese. Yeah, it's gross, man.
It has the George Pickens stuff has made me has really gotten on my nerve this so far this season or preseason. For those who aren't following preseason NFL Twitter, there's been so many clips look at George Pickens, he's been awesome. Every single highlight I have seen, he has committed OPI, offensive pass interference. It has been bad. He's
you saw that one where he spun the ball in front of Joey Porter.
It is so bad. I don't know why we're hyping this up. In an actual game, he is getting called for all of those 100 times out of 100. You cannot push off the DBs. You cannot pull the DBs. You cannot throw the DBs. And he's doing that. And I understand the play style he is. He likes to play rough and rowdy. But, come on now.
As a coach, you have to teach discipline at that point.
Exactly.
And at that point as well, because Matt Eberflus was talking about it today in the press conference, because Chase Claypool has been kind of physical and emotional towards his teammates recently, as far as I believe it was Eddie Jackson that he's kind of, chipping around with, but it's not getting to a physical standpoint. And so they're at what point does this become disruptive? And Matt Eberflus made a great point. And I'm not just saying this because he's a Bears coach. I'm just saying from a coach's perspective in general, this is what every coach should have. He said, it's not hurting the team because what they're doing is all a part of their game. You're going to have smack talk. You're going to have passion in it and everything. That's fine. But the second that it becomes physical is the second that we get flags, and that's when it starts hurting the team. And so at that point, that's when it would become disruptive, but it hasn't gotten to that point yet. So the more that you look at this George Pickens thing, right, to where it's him and Joey Porter have really been going at it recently, and we're talking on a physical standpoint as well. At some point in time, you need to take both of those guys aside, bury the hatchet, and figure out how to get rid of these penalties before, week number 1 here in about a month, which, by the way, we're only a month away. So, I mean, very exciting, but we have another segment to get to. Very excited about this one. But before I get to this, there was one thing I forgot to say in our little weekly recap of how we're doing and everything. Speaking of football being back, we have a scrimmage this week for Bishop Knoll.
Oh.
And I just want to shout out, I'm not going to go into specifics anymore on the podcast or anything until, obviously what I'd like to do is give everybody an update on week to week on how we're doing. Just because this team, for those that don't know, has a very rich history in losing. So when we're going through this and everything, we're trying to change the culture and everything. So ultimately what I want to say is, to the coaching staff and to the kids that are playing on Friday nights now, congratulations. You've worked your way up to this point, and the work and everything that I've seen going forward has just been spectacular. The passion, everything that we need has been shown, and this is going to be a very different Bishop Knoll team than what you have seen before. They're bringing the intensity and everything. I'm not getting too into specifics, but all I'm saying is I cannot wait for next week to be able to tell you guys how the scrimmage went, because this is officially week 0. The next week is week 1 when we go on and play our first matchup. Very excited. But anyways, so we're returning with another segment that we used to do as well. Typically during the off season and stuff. I don't know why we haven't really brought this back, to be honest with you. I kind of forgot about it for a
just
little
because
bit.
there's so much not news going on. It's hard to even like formulate these. You'll see. We'll see. What everyone will see what we're talking about and say.
3 bold takes. So if you guys don't remember, essentially the rules of this mean I have 3 bold takes. Ben, I'm not entirely. Do you have 3 bold takes for me? Yeah, perfect. So we have 3 each. And so essentially we're going to have 2 different conversations. Okay. We're not going to have 6 because that'd take too much time. Essentially, we get to tell each other each of our bold takes, and then the other person gets to choose that bold take or their favorite or hottest take or whatever you want to call it. And then we'll talk about it, back it up, see if we can change the other person's mind or, so far and so forth. Mine is interesting to say the least. I'm a bit of a homer if you guys haven't figured that out.
Shocker.
But yeah, let's get to it. Ben, you want to go first?
Yeah. So do you want me to tell my 3 first? Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So actually, I have 4.
Nice.
2 of them, like I'm deciding between 2 quarterback takes. I can do a Packers related one, or I could do a different quarterback related one. Which one do you want me to throw in as my 3rd take?
Just do all 4 of them. That's fine.
All right, I'll do all 4 of them. All right, Calvin.
Why not?
Take number 1, Calvin Ridley finishes as a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. Take number 2, Michael Thomas actually finally puts together a good year for the first time in like 4 years and goes over 1,000 yards. Trey Lance starts an NFL game, but not for the Niners. I'm sorry to tell you this one, buddy, but the Packers found another one, and Jordan Love is the QB for the Packers' future for the next 10 to 15 years.
Let's debate that. There's no way. Okay, yeah. Because if you're going to bring up the past that I think you're going to bring up, I cannot wait to just debunk this whole theory.
No,
right,
well, it's not even just a singular pass. I understand that people have been like saying like Jordan Love, like
you've been a Jordan Love guy though.
So I am a Jordan Love guy. Exactly. Yeah. That's more than the Packers organization. I'm a Jordan Love guy, and I will continue to back my guy until he's proven that he can't do that. But I don't know. I just think there's something to, and for those who haven't watched Hard Knocks, I guess that was something that we should have thrown in the news. Hard Knocks came out yesterday. I think it's like 5 weeks or 6 weeks or something. But new Hard Knocks episode every Tuesday at 10 Eastern time, 9 Central time. But like Aaron Rodgers, and obviously it was not quite the same when he was with the Packers, but like dude mentored Zach Wilson, like, and you could see that in this past episode. And obviously I don't think he did the same when he was there with the Packers. But there's just something to sitting behind, and whether you like it or not, Aaron Rodgers, and you have to admit this, is one of the best quarterbacks ever do in the history of the NFL. And there's something to sitting behind a guy like that and learning from him when you already have the physical gifts that Jordan Love does. I think it's going to take some time. I think it will be some growing pains. I think in week 3 or 4 was when he's going to take that step. But the first few weeks is going to be a little rough for Jordan Love. But when you have the arm Jordan Love does and you have the legs Jordan Love does, all you need to do is develop the mind. And there's not many quarterbacks in the NFL or in the history of the NFL, I think that there's better to learn from when it comes to the mental part of the game than what Aaron Rodgers is, than what he did with Aaron Rodgers. And even if Aaron Rodgers didn't tell him anything, sitting in a room with that guy and even just watching how he processes the game and how he learns the game is going to help you improve. And he was viewed as a first-round quarterback when he came out. They drafted him for a reason when he came out. He has all the physical traits. He was able to sit down and learn from one of the best quarterbacks to do it. And there's been some, as you noted, man, there's been some really nice throws coming out of training camp. Given there's some people coming out of training camp saying the exact opposite, saying he hasn't looked good. But all I've heard from this past week of training camp was that he's looked really, really good. And that goes to my point, because the first week of training camp, it was kind of rough, but now he's looked good the last few practices. It's just a matter of getting in there, learning in the offense, and being there with your guys. And it's going to be awesome to see him dominate the Bears. I don't want to see dominate the Bears because I think the Bears are going to be good, but it's going to be fun to see Jordan Love and Justin Fields go at it for the next 10 years.
I hope he is. And I hope that if this is the guy they're going to stick with, absolutely, I hope it is. Because I have seen nothing but flat out garbage from him. And I don't know if you've seen that. Have you seen that sidearm pass that he threw between two defenders?
I did not.
No? Okay, that was at like their family fest and everything. That's great, except the defenders stopped running because they can't hit the quarterback. So when everybody was like, oh my God, what a throw. It's like, that would have been a sack. Absolutely. And he probably, he would have gotten hit. And so let's hype this guy up. Sure, whatever. But if he can't throw a football into the net, that's the most basic thing that you can do. Can we focus on the fundamentals first here? And the biggest red flag that I'm seeing from him as well is when he was asked, what is your mindset going into, this season as the starter, blah, blah. He was like, I just got to try not to be Aaron. Everybody's been telling me just to be my own thing, and I just try not to be Aaron. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest red flag that I think that a quarterback could have, honestly, is the fact that despite the fact that he might be taking on that new mindset, he's living in a shadow already. Yeah. If you take on this position, no matter who it is, I don't care if Patrick Mahomes retires tomorrow and you take over for the quarterback of the Chiefs. You have to think of this as this is my team instead of this was Patrick's team. Does that make sense? To the point where it was you have to take on the leadership.
He definitely views it as his team, but it's just a matter of the media. It doesn't matter what everyone else thinks, as long as everyone in the room thinks it's him.
It affects your confidence because it's like if you make one tiny little mistake, it's to the point to where this could be an avalanche. Who knows? But ultimately, I'm just not seeing it. I don't think he's going to be the long term, and God forbid they trade up and get somebody like, I don't know, Caleb Williams or something.
If one mistake really affects, if one mistake affects your career one way or the other in the NFL, then you should not be here, and he wouldn't be here if one mistake was going to affect how he turns out. And to be frank, I saw him come in and be a smooth operator against my Eagles. And maybe that has something to do to it. Because I saw him in the one game he did play this year. But I don't know, man. I think he has all the traits, and the only thing he needed was that mental sharpening. And we'll see how it goes. Again, I can't stress enough. I think it's going to be a rough first few weeks. So I don't want people, in my mentions, but you particularly, I don't want you in my mentions after the first couple weeks. But by the end of the season, we'll be like, gosh, dang it, Packers did it again. But I'd love to hear yours.
Number one, the Jets aren't making the playoffs, but the Broncos, however, will.
Okay.
Bears will be a wild card team, and Malik Willis will be a starter by week 8.
Malik Willis?
Yes.
Okay. I want to hear that one.
Okay. Because we'll probably get to the Bears wild card thing here in a couple weeks when we cover them. Malik Willis has assumed the number 2 position on the depth chart. At some point in time, Ryan Tannehill, he's a little bit up there in age. He's not really as durable as he used to be. I feel like it's almost every season we're seeing something going wrong with Ryan Tannehill. Malik Willis will be that starter. Now, it's crazy because it's like they drafted Will Levis, and, they had all the faith in the world, but they also said at the beginning of the offseason that Malik Willis might not even be on the team anymore. And now to put him over Will Levis, that's monumental to me. I think that has just proven that, Malik Willis has taken the stride. Yeah, Chauvin. Malik Willis has just taken those strides in the offseason to be able to prepare for that, catastrophic, oh no, I might not be here anymore type season, you know what I mean, or off season, to where it's like he looks like he has taken the initiative, has put in the work, and ultimately he's not Ryan Tannehill just yet, so I don't see him overtaking that role. But I think at some point in time this season you will see a quarterback switch. I don't think Ryan Tannehill is going to be the answer. I don't. I think at some point in time his performance is going to be a lot lower, and at some point in time they're just going to get frustrated with Ryan Tannehill, and Malik Willis will step in and be that mobile quarterback that we knew he was going to be at some point in time coming out of college. Looking at him in the scouting combine and everything, you and I both saw, along with Matt, how much potential this kid had. But the thing is that he just needed to adapt to the game. And everybody knows that the NFL is a much faster game than the college game.
Yeah.
So understanding that, taking that into consideration and everything, going into the offseason and looking at how he's performing in training camp to earn that second depth chart, I'll go ahead and say this. Titans and Bears this Saturday, it's become a must watch to see what Malik Willis can do against a defense that's gotten slightly better over the course of the offseason.
Yeah. No, my whole argument, I guess, against this is not the whole Ryan Tannehill is going to be benched. But also, like, rumors are, like, coming out of camp that, like, he's looked really good, and, like, the D-Hop and him just looks phenomenal. Sorry, guys. Acid reflex. But it's that if a number 2 quarterback comes in, I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be Malik Willis, because I think it's going to be Will Levis. I think they're going to want to throw, like, if they have to put someone in, I think they're just going to want to throw in the guy that they drafted and say, see what you got. Go and prove to us as to why we shouldn't spend another draft pick this year, a third year in a row, on a quarterback. Because if this team sucks and they end up benching Ryan Tannehill, it just means they're flat out bad. And if that's the case, they're going to finish with the top 10 pick. And I think it's going to just be a matter of, Will Levis, go and prove to us that we shouldn't start Drake May as our quarterback next year. Because what it is at this, Malik Willis is not going to be a starting NFL quarterback. But to your point, though, I mean, everyone coming out of last year, like, the knock on Will Levis was that his game was not going to translate in year one, and that it was going to take a second for him to get there. And I guess to kind of go off your argument and to kind of support it, is like, that's what everyone said. Everyone said he was going to look bad in year one. No one expected him to come in year one. Well, no one with a sane football mind thought he was going to come in and produce as a quarterback in year one, just because the difference from Liberty to the Titans is obviously such a big jump, like you were saying. And maybe this is the year that we're seeing him kind of pick up the speed of his play to match the NFL. Because just like I talked about Jordan Love, I mean, Malik Willis had the traits. As like I said, going into last year, Malik Willis has like a rocket for an arm. The dude can throw an 80-yard ball and also run like a 4.6. So he has all the athletic traits, all the physical traits. It's just a matter of sharpening his mind, like I was saying with Jordan Love. And while he doesn't quite have the Aaron Rodgers that Jordan Love does, spending a year in an NFL system will definitely help. So it will be interesting. Very selfishly, I think it's going to be Will Levis. And as a kind of a franchise move, I think it would be smarter for it to be just Will Levis, so you could see if you have something with Will Levis or if you need to go and draft another guy.
It's tough when you draft 2 young quarterbacks in back-to-back years.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. In both young quarterbacks have been viewed as someone who like needs to take time in the NFL to sit and develop. Like, you didn't draft 2 guys that were going to come in like, you didn't draft 2 Kenny Pickett's that could come in immediately and start.
Right.
You drafted 2 guys that need to sit and develop. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where that goes. But kind of to our second to last point, I don't know if we want to do this before or after Weddle, but like you were saying, that that NFL preseason game is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be looking for both Willis and Levis to play.
Let's get to the preseason games after we finish up with Weddle. So let's get started with that.
It's time for America's favorite game, Weddle.
All right. So Ben, you beat me last week, unfortunately. I'm not shocked though, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, let's go ahead and remove that and see what we got here. So first or second, buddy?
I'll take second.
Adam Thielen. Oh, okay, almost. All right, cool. Awesome.
AJ Brown's not this tall, and number doesn't work out, but AJ Brown. Yep. Oh, he's a youngin.
That's
wow. He's young.
6'2".
He's 22.
22. How do you know he's 22?
Well, he has to be. He's either 21 or 22, but.
Let's see. It has to be an NFC guy. Thinking.
Or I guess it could be 23 as well, but.
Christian Watson? No. It's Romeo. It's got to be.
Yeah. Romeo's actually kind of old, but I'm going to go with Romeo. Younger. I'm going to go with Romeo.
Yeah.
I thought Romeo was like 23. Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I thought Romeo was like 23. But this is actually kind of bad developing by Weddle because Romeo Dobbs was the hard mode. Like, I think it was on Monday. He was the hard mode when I did it. So,
I'm
going second.
I'm going with somebody I was very impressed with in training camp today, Gervin Dexter Sr.
I was going to say, imagine.
Dude, he's going to be so good. He's the real deal. Him and Darnell Wright. I only saw Darnell Wright get beat once, and that was by guarding, I think it was Yannick. So.
Oh, there you go.
Or no, he didn't get beat at all. It was the only bad thing. It was he had a false start. That was it.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry. Yeah. I knew there was one bad, but anyways, yeah. Continue.
He's playing right, I'm assuming.
Yes, yeah, but Braxton Jones he flattened Dominique Robinson. He pancaked him.
We like to see Braxton Jones. Big Braxton Jones podcast here, guys. All right, well, AJ Brown.
That's great. Okay. Oh, wide receiver. All right, now we're talking.
Oh, semi-older receiver.
No. It's not that. Okay.
In the West or South? Struggled there for a second. Oh.
Let's go with I don't think it's him. Okay. Yeah, he's too tall. Yeah.
Oh, see, my thought process would have been Chris Godwin. So. Okay. We're kind of getting there in age. That means he has to play for a West team. Marquise Goodwin? I don't think he's with the Niners anymore. Yeah. He's not with the Niners anymore. Gosh dang it.
Let's go. Let's go. I knew exactly who it was after Mike Evans. I was like, oh, yes. Okay, nice. This feels nice, dude. We're winning, Maybe I could get used to that. I don't know.
Sure, but
anyways, yeah, so preseason games that we're excited for.
Dude, all of them is all of an option.
I have 4 specific ones. Commanders and Browns because Deshaun Watson's starting and he was awful last season. So what?
Is he gonna be playing?
Yeah. He'll be playing on Saturday.
Okay.
Let's see. Or no, on Friday, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Obviously we said Titans and Bears. Bears starters will be playing and the Titans quarterback carousel would be awesome. Chiefs and Saints. I'm looking forward to seeing just overall. I mean, Ross is looking to be making a lot of noise in training camp for the Chiefs, and it's going to be very Justin Ross.
Oh,
right?
Justin Ross, yeah.
And so basically, I'm looking forward to seeing him in pads again, just because he was injured after, during that rookie season and everything. It was unfortunate, but he's been making some noise. So I'm looking forward to that. And just overall, I hope that Derek Carr plays at least a little bit in the Saints game, but I doubt he will, just because it's the first one. I'm sure at some point in the preseason, Derek Carr will get a couple snaps, but I don't know if it's against this one. But however, speaking from personal experience, I know the Chiefs also like playing their starters at least a little bit in the preseason, just because we've seen that in person. And then my last one is Jags and Cowboys. I'm looking forward to seeing maybe a little bit more reps from Calvin Ridley, despite the fact that, I'm thinking less than 5 plays maybe out of Calvin Ridley, just to get him back in the swing of things. But, see how he does in the offense and stuff. But without a doubt, I think that he's going to be amazing. I'm hoping that we get to see a little bit of Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley. It'd be nice for fantasy purposes, just to be able to kind of, look at that and see if that's a route that you're wanting to go. And then, the Cowboys as well. I've heard that Dak has been awful. So I'm looking to see if he can get a couple more reps, just because the Cowboys, they need all the help they can get, man. So,
yep. So there's a couple. I'm just gonna lay them out on the table. Obviously, Eagles, just getting that on the table. It's the birds. Want to see them play. Chiefs, Saints, as you said. But the main reason I want to see that is because our dear friend Matt has been hyping up Jake Haener through the roof.
Yeah,
the next quarterback god. And obviously that's not what Matt said, but Matt just loves Jake Haener, so I'm excited to see him. Chargers Rams, because I want to see Stetson Bennett, because dude has been making noise. Everything coming out of camp is that Stetson Bennett has been absolutely balling.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested to see how he plays, because he'll probably get majority snaps. Jets Panthers, just because I want to see Bryce Young. It's gonna be really fun, and because I guess him and Andy Dalton are still kind of in a pseudo quarterback battle. It's Bryce Young, but it's just one of those things. So I think we'll see hopefully a good amount of Bryce Young, maybe a quarter of Bryce Young, which would be really fun. Titans Bears, you already touched on that. And then where was the last two? Yep, Steelers Bucks, because rumor is Baker Mayfield sucks. Rumor is Baker Mayfield has been bad. I think it's been 7 interceptions and 9 practices. So it'll be fun to see the kind of the competition between him and Kyle Trask. And then the last one, kind of for the same reasons I wanted to see the Panthers, is the Texans Patriots. I just kind of want to see CJ Stroud. He actually doesn't have much competition behind him, so I think he'll probably play even less. But it'll be interesting to see CJ, and then obviously my Colts is what they are now. Just because I want to see Anthony Richardson. So basically we touched on darn near every game at this point. So, but it's going to be fun. It's good to have football back.
I want to touch on this really quick, just for those not aware of the schedule. We have Texans and Patriots, and then Vikings and Seahawks tomorrow. On Friday, we have Steelers, Bucks, Falcons, Dolphins, Packers, Bengals, Giants, Lions, Commanders, Browns, Broncos, Cardinals, Titans, Bears, Colts, Bills, Jets, Panthers. Nope. Ends with the Cardinals and Broncos on the Friday. Let's see. So, dang it, man. I'm not going to be able to watch any of those games.
Oh, I'm not going to be able to watch.
I got my scrimmage.
Oh, I'm not going to be able to watch any of those games either, man.
It's fine. I got to watch another football team play. It's fine. It's whatever. It's another good football team, too. Then we have Titans, Bears, Colts, Bills, Jets, Panthers, Jaguars, Cowboys, Eagles, Ravens, Chargers, Rams on Saturday. And then we have Chiefs, Saints, 49ers, Raiders on Sunday. So With that being
I'm
said,
just glad I get to
enjoy
see
your
my Birds
full-fledged weekend packed with football.
Thursday,
mean,
Friday,
good
Saturday,
Lord.
Sunday, man. It is going
What?
to be fun.
Football's back in full swing. I'm not going to be able to watch anything tomorrow either.
Yes. Oh my Birds play on Thursday the next week. Yes.
It's going to be awesome. Well, thank you guys for sticking with us. Ben, do you have any kind of closing comments before we get started with our outro?
As always, thank you guys. If you guys have made it this far in the podcast, you guys are real ones. We appreciate it. And football's back. Like, actually
Football
back.
Is back.
And as much as Ryan tries to convince you guys not to, watch Hard Knocks. It was good. Ryan's just a hater, and that's okay. Because I would
such a hater.
I would hate Aaron Rodgers as much as I do if I was put through that much misery as a fan. But actually watch Hard Knocks. It was way better than what I thought. And Ryan, plug your ears on this one. I actually made me kind of like Aaron Rodgers.
I know. I heard that on Twitter, and that's exactly why I don't want to, because I like my image that I have of him right now. He's a scumbag piece of trash, and I want to think of him like that forever.
And that's kind of how I thought of him, but yeah.
Thank you for sticking with us. If you have any suggestions for content or anything like that, fantasy football will be coming, I would say, within the next 2 episodes, I would say. So stay tuned with that. Also, we may or may not be having our draft on here. So that'd be interesting to kind of coordinate. We still have yet to talk about that too much, but it's been included in talks. So who knows? But anyway, stay tuned because obviously we've got a lot of content coming up. I actually, believe it or not, I have a guest scheduled. Let me see really quick. I have a guest scheduled in a recent episode, or not recent, but like soon enough.
In upcoming,
3 episodes from now, we will have a guest, at least one. That's going to be a pretty big episode. Bears Packers schedule predictions on that episode. So lots of friendly banter. It will be great.
I know. I think I know without you telling me what it is.
So without further ado, if you have any suggestions or anything like that, feel free to drop us a direct message on any of our socials above. Always, that is Twitter, and it always will be. We want to thank Regional Radio Sports Network, Overtime Sports Network, Uppercuts Grooming, and Spotify for Podcasters for helping us grow as a podcast. And until next time, this has been the Pigskin Project. See you guys next week. Enjoy some football.